Hi, so here I am working in Germany for a company that puts satellites in space, and I've been delivering a presentation skills course, but much of which we've had to take a look at the hybrid type scenario where you've got some people in the room and some people online. So I just thought it'd be good just to go through a few quick tips of things that I've been covering with the group that I've been working with. So I'm just going to turn this around and you can see the room. So we have here, fortunately, a really good room layout, loads of microphones for people who are actually in the room. And you can see here we've got a camera positioned right in the center of the room that actually follows people around, which is handy, of course. But there's a few little mistakes that some people are making during some of the practice sessions that I'm just going to highlight to you for those of you who might be in a similar situation. So one of the errors that people were making is that we were looking at the difference between standing up as against sitting down. Some people will choose to sit down, some people, just because they're more comfortable that way, some people will stand up. And I was saying, well, actually you've got to decide, because it makes a difference. If you stand up, then it suggests that you are going to talk to people for a while and they will need to listen. And if you sit down, then it can immediately suggest that this could be much more interactive. So there's that decision to be made. There's also the decision about where you actually position yourself. So be it that we've got a camera that actually follows people around, obviously that's handy because you can move around the room and the camera will follow you anyway. However, bearing in mind you've also got people that are in the room, so be it that we've got a nice large screen, what presenters would need to do is to clock the edge of the screen, take a look at the edge of the screen, then take a look at where the outer edge of their audience is, and then physically get out of the lines of sight. So we had quite a few people today that were putting up slides and they're positioning themselves here, which then means that people over there can't actually see the slides through them. And equally, if they position themselves this side, about here, then there's people over there that won't be able to see the screen. Then on top of that, very often people were turning around and actually looking at the screen and pointing things out on the screen, but they're spending quite a bit of time with their back to the audience. And with me coming from a theatrical background, I recounted the phrase that they use in theatre, which says never turn your back on your audience because you don't know what they might be doing. So a similar thing, in terms of positioning, you want to be facing out front because you've got people in front of you you need to have eye contact with. There's a camera as well that you need to have some eye contact with the camera so that the people who are online get that feeling of some eye contact. And if you need to point to the screen, fine, you do it rather like a weather forecaster. So you still face out front, point to the screen, come back out front again, rather than ending up like this. And then the other mistake that some people made is that they decided to sit down because they're making use of the screen here. And so they sit down and they're kind of behind the screen, which great for them, they feel they're close to their slide content, they can take a look at that. But of course the trouble is that the camera is only literally picking up the top of their head, and also people who are in the room aren't seeing some of the arm movements that are going on. So again, I said if you're going to sit down because you want to make it more chatty, that's the advantage of sitting down, then you've got to make sure that you sit in a position where everyone can still see you, the camera can still see you, you can be using your arm movements as a visual aid where necessary, and maintaining the eye contact. So that comes across in a much more professional manner. And of course you can do both. There can be times where you can stand up for certain periods of the presentation and then maybe sit down when you want to make it more interactive, and then standing up again for the next bit, that type of thing. So hopefully that gives you a few key tips for when you're in a hybrid type situation.